There is a specific phrase that often triggers a wave of immediate, confusing anger in relationships. It is a polite phrase. It is usually said with good intentions. That phrase is, "How can I help?" On the surface, this sounds like a partner who is engaged and willing to contribute. It sounds supportive. Yet for many people, hearing this question does not feel like support. It feels like one more task to manage. It feels like the final straw that breaks the camel's back. We need to explore why this benevolent question causes such a visceral reaction. The problem lies in the hidden implication of the sentence. When a partner asks how they can help, they are implying that the responsibility for the home, the schedule, or the relationship belongs to you. You are the owner of the domain. They are merely the assistant waiting for instructions. By asking you to delegate a task, they are actually assigning you a new job. That job is management. You now have to stop what you are doing, survey the landscape, identify what needs to be done, and break it down into bite-sized instructions for them. This is not a partnership of equals. This is a dynamic between a project manager and an employee. This dynamic explains a phenomenon that relationship psychologists call the mental load. It is distinct from physical chores. Chores are visible. You can see a pile of laundry. You can see a dirty dish. You can track who took out the trash last week. But the mental load is invisible. It is the cognitive labor required to run a life. It is the noticing, the planning, the anticipating, and the delegating. It is the browser tabs that are constantly open in the back of your mind. To understand why this is exhausting, we have to distinguish between execution labor and cognitive labor. Execution labor is the act of buying the milk. Cognitive labor is noticing that the milk is low, remembering that your partner prefers oat milk, and adding it to the grocery list before you even leave the house. In many relationships, one person does the execution, while the other carries the entire weight of the cognition. The partner who buys the milk feels they have done their share. They do not understand why the partner who put it on the list feels tired. When you are the carrier of the mental load, you become the household brain. You are the keeper of the schedules. You know when the dog needs a vaccination. You know that your mother-in-law's birthday is coming up and that a card needs to be bought. You know that the kids have outgrown their winter coats. This is a 24-hour job. It does not stop when you go to work. It does not stop when you sleep. It is a constant, low-grade hum of responsibility that never allows you to fully relax. The exhaustion comes from the fact that you are never truly off duty. Even when your partner completes a task, you often feel the need to monitor it. Did they remember to separate the whites? Did they use the right cleaner? This is not necessarily because you are a control freak. It is often because you know that if the task is done wrong, the consequences will fall on you to fix. This hypervigilance creates a state of chronic stress. You feel alone in the responsibility. You are the captain of the ship, scanning the horizon for icebergs, while your partner is happily playing shuffleboard on the deck, waiting for you to tell them if there is an emergency. This dynamic is the root cause of what is often dismissed as nagging. We need to reframe this term entirely. Nagging is not a personality defect. It is a symptom of a broken system. It is what happens when one person is forced to be the prompt for the other person's action. If you have to ask your partner 3 times to take out the trash, you are not just annoyed about the trash. You are exhausted by the fact that you have to hold the timeline of the trash in your mind. You are tired of being the external hard drive for another adult human being. The partner who is being nagged often defends themselves by saying, "You should have just asked." They truly believe that if they are willing to do the task upon request, they are being a good partner. They do not see that the act of asking is labor. It requires emotional energy to interrupt your own flow, gauge the right moment to speak, and risk a potential conflict or a sigh of annoyance. When you have to ask for every single contribution, the cost of the asking often outweighs the benefit of the help. Eventually, many people stop asking. They just do it themselves. This leads to burnout and deep, simmering resentment. This dynamic has a profound and often unspoken impact on romantic attraction. It is very difficult to feel desire for someone you have to manage. The manager-employee dynamic is functionally the same as a parent-child dynamic. When you have to remind another adult to brush their teeth, pick up their towel, or make a dentist appointment, you are stepping into a parental role. This kills libido. It is nearly impossible to switch from being a nagging mother figure or a strict father figure in the kitchen to being a lover in the bedroom. The partner who is carrying the load feels uncherished. They do not feel seen. They feel like a utility, not a muse. On the flip side, the partner who is being managed often feels criticized and inadequate. They feel like they can never get it right. They withdraw emotionally to avoid the feeling of failure. This creates a chasm where intimacy used to be. The sexual connection dries up because the structural equality required for adult passion is missing. You cannot desire someone you do not respect as a peer. It is important to note that this is not always malicious. Often, it is a result of unexamined social conditioning. We model what we saw in our childhood homes. If you grew up in a home where one parent silently managed everything, you might replicate that pattern without realizing it. You might assume that this is just how love looks. But in the modern world, where both partners often work and life is increasingly complex, this model is unsustainable. It leads to the walk-away partner syndrome, where one person eventually leaves the relationship, not because of a singular event, but because they are tired of carrying the world on their shoulders. So, how do we dismantle this dynamic? We cannot solve the problem of cognitive labor with more lists. Giving your partner a list is still management. It still requires you to do the thinking. The solution lies in shifting from delegating tasks to delegating ownership. We need to move toward a model of full conception, planning, and execution. This is where the concept of fair play, popularized by author Eve Ronsky, becomes a vital tool. The idea is that you do not split chores 50-50. Instead, you hold cards of responsibility. If you hold the dinner card, you do not just cook. You own the entire life cycle of that task. You notice what ingredients are in the fridge. You plan the menu. You buy the groceries. You cook the meal, and you clean up the kitchen. Your partner does not need to think about dinner at all. They can delete that tab from their brain entirely. When you hand over ownership, you grant your partner the dignity of being a competent adult. You also have to accept that they might do it differently than you. They might cook something you wouldn't choose. They might shop at a different store. This is the price of release. You have to let go of the control to get back your mental space. If you hover and correct them, you are taking the card back. You are becoming the manager again. A practical way to implement this is through a fortnightly State of the Union meeting. This is a dedicated time, perhaps 20 minutes every 2 weeks, to discuss the business of the household. It should happen when you are both calm, not in the heat of an argument about dirty socks. During this meeting, you look at the upcoming logistics. You decide who owns which domain for the next period. This meeting moves the conversation from reactive nagging to proactive planning. It allows the partner who usually carries the load to say, "I am overwhelmed by the holiday planning. I need you to take ownership of the gifts for your side of the family." This means they buy the gifts, wrap them, and ensure they are delivered. You do not remind them. If the gifts don't arrive, that is a natural consequence they have to manage. This shifts the dynamic from parent-child to adult-adult accountability. Another safe practice is to articulate the invisible work. Often, our partners simply do not see the cognitive labor because it happens inside our heads. You can practice narrating your mental load without accusation. You might say, "I am feeling stressed right now because I am trying to track the budget, plan the weekend, and remember the vet appointment all at once." By making the invisible visible, you invite empathy. You show your partner the weight you are carrying. You can also ask your partner to take on the notice and do challenge. This is a simple practice where they commit to scanning a room, identifying one thing that needs to be done, and doing it without announcing it or asking for credit. It builds the muscle of anticipation. It trains the brain to look for needs rather than waiting for commands. The ultimate goal here is to restore a sense of partnership. A true partner shares the worry, not just the work. They are equally invested in the smooth running of the shared life. They do not wait to be told what is important. They look at the life you have built together and they treat it with the same level of care and ownership that you do. When the mental load is shared, the relief is palpable. You get your brain back. You get your creativity back. You have space to just be a person again rather than a human logistics center. And most importantly, you get your relationship back. You can look at your partner across the room and see a capable equal. You can trust them to catch you. You can relax into the safety of knowing that you are not the only one holding the roof up. That is the foundation of a lasting romantic connection. It is not just about helping, it is about holding the life you share together.